Okay, class, we're on page 197, set 2 problems which are similar to your set 3 problems. And there's quite a bit here, but it's very self-explanatory. They're going to give you the same type of diagram with bricks and 1 pound weights. And you simply just need to follow each step. They're going to show you steps 1, 2, and 3. And then they're asking what was done to the scale in the first diagram to obtain what's in the second. So if I look at the first diagram, I notice that it changed from 3 bricks and 4 pound weights to 3 bricks. So they must have subtracted 4 1 pound weights. And I'll notice that happened on the right side where we had, looks like there's 10 and now there's 6. So they subtracted 4 from each side. Now, what was done to the scale in the second diagram to obtain what's in the third? Well, I had 3 bricks in the second diagram, and I had 6 1 pound weights, and it became 1 brick and 2 1 pound weights. So it's obvious they divided by 3. And now we can write an equation to illustrate the first one. And by now you should be acquainted with this particular process. We would have had 3 bricks, or 3x plus 4 is equal to 10 1 pound weights. So we had 3 bricks and 4 1 pound weights is equal to 10 1 pound weights. All right, we're now asked to write the second one. Well, that would have been 3x is equal to 6. Now, you could see they subtracted 4, as we said earlier. They subtracted 4 from each side. And then we're also told to write an equation on the third. Well, x is equal to 2. And as we can see, they divided each side by 3. And that's how we got the third equation. So we're just showing you the equation side of the illustration. Now, what could be done to the first equation that you wrote to get to the second equation? Well, we've already discussed that. We subtracted 4, right? And then we're asked what could be done to the second so that you get to the third. And here we've divided by 3. Okay, so we divided by 3. Okay, and what is the weight of 1 brick? Well, it is 2 pounds. Okay, so that's as you can see, set 2. It just problem number 4 just goes through the process again with the illustration and the equation. Now, in the subsequent problems, we're given problems here. I'm not going to do these problems, but they're very self-explanatory. Write the equation that results from performing the indicated operation on both sides of each of the following equations. We have 2x plus 1 is equal to 6. We're subtracting 1 from each side. And the second one, we're dividing each side by 5. The third one, we're adding 4. So you just go ahead and go through your problems doing exactly that particular operation that's being indicated. And number 6, it says in each of the following what was done to both sides of the first equation to give the second. Okay, so now they're just going to show us the first and the second, similar to what we had over here in our diagram. Well, we had this equation. How do we get to that one? Well, we subtracted 4. Okay, so they're going to give us now, for instance, 4x is equal to 12, and that was our first equation, and then our second equation says x is equal to 3. So what did they do? Well, they divided each side by 4. Okay, and you could see 4x turns into x. So you could see immediately right there, and obviously 12 divided by 4 is equal to 3. So again, you need to do that for each. And they get a little more complicated. They're going to challenge your thinking. But again, if you just simply apply the inverse operation, you'll be able to determine what they did. Number 7, solve each of the following equations for x. So we're just going to now have to perform, without being told what to do, apply the knowledge that we've acquired in this particular lesson. We have, for instance, x plus 12 is equal to 3. Well, if I have x plus 12, is equal to 3. How would I solve this? Well, I would subtract 12 from each side. And again, you see me using this very fundamental illustration of subtracting. Eventually, you're just going to really write it in this manner. You're just going to say x plus 12 minus 12 is equal to 3 minus 12, okay? And it'll spare you some paper along the way, because you can take an existing equation and just start opening up and putting in these operations, these inverse operations. So what does that give us? Well, x is going to be equal to 3 minus 12. Be very careful. 3 minus 12, the answer here would be negative 9. Okay, so you're just going to have to solve each of these using inverse operations. Sometimes you're multiplying, you divide. Sometimes you're adding, you're subtracting. Sometimes you're dividing, you need to multiply. Okay, I'm not going to do all these problems for you. You need to think on your own, determine how can I get rid of that operation by doing the inverse. And always be careful with your negatives. Okay, now 8 is very similar to 7. It's just solving the equations for x. They just get a little more complex. They're using decimals. And now in number 9 says solve each of the following equations by transforming it into equivalent equations as described. So now they're actually going to tell us what to do. In fact, they probably should have given these before they gave us 7 and 8, because this is pretty much what we're doing in 7 and 8. And but again, we're just going to follow the exact steps that they give us, subtracting 11, for instance, and dividing by 3 in the first one, adding 9 and dividing by 2, and then again check your answers just to make sure that your answer is true. Okay, and again, the last one, solve each of the following equations for x. Very similar to what you did in 7 and 8 and 9. You're just going to have to do it yourself. You're not being told what to do. You should be able to figure it out. This is the essence of algebra at this point. This is what we're always trying to do. For the most part, we're trying to find out what the variable x is equal to when we're given an equation. And again, we can build equations based off of the information that they're giving us. That's going to be a little more challenging, is to determine how to build an equation when we read a paragraph of information, determine how to build the equation. But before we learn how to build equations, we should learn the simple process of solving the equation for the variable, and that's really the emphasis in this particular lesson. It's very important that you do all of your problems in this lesson and thoroughly understand whatever problems you have here. Please communicate them back to me, and we'll go over them in class.